here, and I think they believe it'd be best for Representative Barnes' bill to travel next year when she's had time to get a line in the budget for it. I do remember specifically last year the governor vetoed a bill where there was not at least a placeholder in the budget for that. The senator has gotten that this year, and we're going to keep working with Representative Barnes. So now, just for extra time, I'll let the senator tell me if I'm incorrect on that assessment.
Yeah, thank you, Representative Jackson. I think where we are with this is that there was a little bit more due diligence that needed to be done with the veterinary board and the education board at the Department of Agriculture, and I think that's going to be worked on over the summer.
Number 25.
That'd be made, Mr. Chairman, at the proper time. Have a motion.
We have one more blinking over here. Representative Barnes. Is that right? Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Rep, for bringing that up. And thank you, Senator, for speaking with me on it. I want you to know that I put a lot of work in my bill as well. I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
And I agree with you, Representative, and the senator relayed that to me when we talked over the weekend that we would continue to work on that. So number 24?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Senator, I just wanted to thank you for bringing this legislation. I got in a little hot water last week with some shelter folks over a piece of legislation, so I hope that they'll appreciate the support in this legislation, so thank you.
There's always tomorrow. If there are no further questions, Representative Scoggins, you're recognized.
Motion do pass.
I have a motion do pass. Is there a second? I have a motion do pass on Senate Bill 20, LC 610138S. Is there discussion? Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. You're on to rules. Who's going to carry that for you in the
Representative Hilton.
Representative Scott Hilton is on the hot seat.
And I'll bring you a form to sign if you don't mind.
Yes, ma'am. Just bring that around while we're going to our next bill. We also have Senate Bill 180 from Senator Dixon. Senator, y'all done down there? Yeah. I know it's late in the day. All right. Representative Fleming, the chair is going to take a privilege this time and appoint you the Sergeant at Arms for today only. And if that goes again, I'm going to ask you to move between Representatives Gamble and Chairman Dickey. Do that. No, I appreciate it. Gentlemen, we are going to be back to, gentlemen and gentleladies, Senate Bill 180, LC 492206. This is adding an additional opportunity for folks that are apprenticeship sponsors to be a portion of this program, subject to funding and subject to TCSG. This was heard for the first time last week. The Vice Chairman of the committee presided over that. I think things went well. Thank him for doing so, and ask if there are questions related to this bill. If there are not, what's the pleasure of the committee related to Senate Bill 180? I have a motion do pass. Is there a second? I have a motion do pass in a second. I had a light laid up. I'm going to recognize you, Madam, under discussion to ask your question.
Well, the only thing I have not read what the final draft of it, but it would include those labor unions that are doing the same kind of training.
To the lady's question, this is the original bill, so there hasn't been a change made since the last bill. I don't know, is Senator Dixon is not here.
It does, yeah, it does. I mean, if they're already
I think if they are in an apprenticeship program, they would be able to do this. That is my belief.
Is it okay? So it's not definite. It's not in writing.
Well, I mean, we're not treating them any different than another person that's in an apprenticeship program. They're not getting a higher or lower treatment.
Okay.
It doesn't say labor union, it said apprenticeship sponsor. So I believe they could do that. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Number 29. Yes, ma'am.
I just think
Let me try to volume you up. Speak right in. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Chairman. Point of order.
I'm still not sure I got you on, but yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
I'm asking for point of order. Can we move on with this vote?
Well, yes, ma'am, we just recognized her under discussion purposes. That's what one does when we get in there. Yes, ma'am. I guess we'll go with that. The question has been called. That's not a debatable motion. So all those, if there's no, well, actually the question's been called. So all those in favor of Senate Bill 180 LC 492206 signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. It moves on to rules with the due pass recommendation. Senate Bill 180 LC 492206. Thank everyone. We're going to now move. Oh, we'll have to ask Senator Dixon on a House sponsor. We'll get him with a House sponsor. So we'll move on in the agenda this afternoon. And who is going to be our MC for our presentation? From Georgia Public Broadcasting. Yes, sir. If you would go, tell us about your presentation. Yes, sir.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Bert Wesley Huffman. I'm the president and CEO of GPB. We have a presentation for you today because I think GPB get to see on television and radio, and we're excited to share that with you today. So I brought some team members who are going to talk with you about their various areas of the business, education being primary, also the work that we do in public safety around the state as well. So the first thing, just that refresher on what GPB is. We are 21 radio stations and 9 television stations covering the entire state of Georgia. We are the only statewide network in Georgia, and we're also the only statewide public media network. There are 2 other public media stations in Georgia that are not a part of GPB. That would be WABE in Atlanta, which is licensed to the Atlanta City School Board, and then also WCLK, which is a jazz station licensed to Clark Atlanta University. Otherwise, though, we have coverage of the entire state. We had actually just last week our 21st radio station down in Bainbridge came online and is now operating at half power, but getting very close to being on full power. I think what we like to do is to focus on what you might know and then what we would love for you to know. So on the screen there are the things you might know. If you grew up watching GPB, or maybe you have a child or a grandchild that did, you're probably very familiar with some of the characters up there like Daniel Tiger or Cookie Monster. Maybe you're a fan of Masterpiece and you know Downton Abbey, or you watch Antiques Roadshow. There are lots of wonderful things like that. But there are a lot of great things that GPB is doing in classrooms all across Georgia. Also, the work that we do in public safety to keep you safe, and then also the work that we do in communities, because we do believe that public media should be here as a mirror reflecting the entire state. So we're going to start off with our CFO, Liz LaPrade, who's going to give you a quick little run through on the funding sources, and then we'll hear about education, public safety, and content.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elizabeth LaPrade. I'm GPB's Chief Financial Officer, and I started my career with the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget, and will celebrate my 25th anniversary at GPB this July. I'm very proud and fortunate to be in public service my entire career, and at GPB specifically, which is the public at its core. Let me explain how GPB is funded. So you'll see a pie chart up on the screen there. State funds make up 34% of GPB's overall revenue. 36% includes individual giving and donations, plus revenue from sponsorship funds. Think about that. Think it like that of ads for public media. Indirect federal funds from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is 12%, and studio rentals and education client services revenue is 10%. You may not know that GPB is a wonderful resource for other state agencies that are looking to create content at a reasonable cost. We have the talent and resources in-house to build and create for others, which is what we call client services. The remaining 8% includes revenue like tower and office space rentals, community engagement grants, miscellaneous revenue, and gains on our foundation investments. Next slide tells you about our expenditures. We use state funds to support 35% of our budget. State funds are specifically used to support education, infrastructure, and operations, such as engineering, IT, digital, facilities, and administration. The FY24 state appropriations reduction represents 4% of our expenditures, which traditionally supported those operations. We have redirected other funds to fill in this gap, as we are committed to fully supporting these departments first and foremost. This has led, obviously, to some reductions for the other funded departments. The rest of the budget at 61% are what we call other funds and are used to support everything else. The content you see or content you listen to on any of our platforms is what other funds support, including things like programming, content, fundraising, sponsorship, marketing and communications, studios, and client services expenditures. That's it for me. We'll have Laura come up for our VP of Education.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Laura Evans. I'm the Vice President for Education. I've been at GPB for 10 years now. I was a classroom teacher for 13 years. I taught middle grades and high school English language arts. But proud to be at GPB, and I get the absolute honor of leading our education division. And, you know, we've talked about what you may know about GPB, but I think I always kind of surprise people when I get up and talk about what you may not know about what we do in education. GPB is vital to K-12 education in Georgia. And I just have to stop and brag for just a second. We are the state's trusted digital content provider. And what makes us so unique is we are a media company, but we are able in such a unique way to create really engaging and immersive technology using all the latest platforms. And so we're able to do things that nobody else in our state is able to do in the education space, which I'm really proud and honored to be a part of. Another thing is, you know, we are available, everything that we do in education is available at absolutely no cost to educators, students, and families in Georgia. As Liz showed with the funding, we're able to leverage our state dollars and then our other funding sources to really provide a great cost savings to school districts as they think about buying educational resources. We're able to offer a ton of content for all grades and subjects at absolutely no cost to them. And, you know, I always want to point out everything that we do in the education division at GPB is aligned to the latest Georgia standards and curriculum. And probably our strongest partnership we have is with the Georgia Department of Education. We work closely with them, meet with them weekly to talk about their projects and initiatives that are core to what they do. They oversee the revision and the review of Georgia's standards, and, you know, which are revised every few years to make sure they're the latest and most up to date. And so we work closely with them. They review all of our content to make sure that everything is of the best instructional design and is aligned to the latest, greatest standards that we have. So what do we create at GPB? Well, one of the things that we're most proud of, and is probably our, did I do something? This is definitely our most trafficked resource that we have on our platforms, is our Georgia Studies collection. We get usually about 1.4 million clicks on our Georgia Studies collection every school year. And this is comprised of 40 virtual field trips and walking tours, which we add to that collection every school year to add more virtual field trips. And, you know, we've heard from schools and districts, like, the time is limited that they have, and funding is limited to take students out and to actually experience locations across our state. So we bring it to them. We bring these locations to classrooms and create these really technologically savvy experiences that immerse students and bring these locations to life. We know a lot of students don't get to go to the coast of Georgia, don't get to go to Okefenokee Swamp. So we, you know, are proud that we get to bring those locations to them so that they can experience those. Yes.
I'm just going that since you were a teacher. I'm just raising. No, we've done good at letting you guys get through your presentation, but I can't help but stop you here. So you said you had at least 40 of these.
Yes.
So I'm curious, what's the usage? Because sometimes we have things come in here, and I guess that's why you're in front of us today. But, you know, what's your usage, and, you know, can we help you? We have a fairly active committee here of 24, 25 people, and can get out to our respective colleagues in the House to make sure that all of the school systems and all the teachers actually understand this is available. So really quick today is, what's the usage? I mean, how many counties might be availing themselves of it, and then we can take a better look, later on how we might be able to help you get the word out.
Absolutely. And we're in all counties, all school districts. We have recorded usage in all of the counties and school districts in the state. Like I said, last school year, and we're on track to really exceed this number, but last school year we had 1.4 million clicks on just this one collection. And I'll show in a minute our statewide heat map where you can kind of see where all that, so I think the next couple slides might answer some of the questions that you have about our usage. And yes, we would welcome help with getting the word out. That's our biggest challenge, is not what we create, but how do we get more and more teachers aware that these resources available to them.
Since I broke the sorry.
I love questions.
Yeah.
Well, to your point, Chairman, and I like this because I always like to let my school systems know, make sure they know about the resources that are available. Do you ever come to like civic groups to speak, like Rotary? Could I invite you to
All
Rotary?
the time.
Okay, good.
All
I'll
the
get with you
time.
about that later.
Yes, I will give you my card. And yes, we're out and about every week, going all over the place.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much for these resources. This is amazing. I'm curious, how do you know how often or how many like homeschoolers or some like these like micro schools are using some of these resources as well?
We do. I mean, so our analytics are a little challenging because it's just picking up IP, so we don't get exact like who is using, but we have anecdotally a lot of homeschool teachers who we ask them to verify their homeschool status. So through our education@gpb.org mailbox, they request that verification. So we do kind of see that we have a lot of homeschool. And we also present annually at the Georgia Homeschool Association Conference. So we know that we have a high number of homeschools and, non-traditional type or informal learning environments using our stuff.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Our Georgia Studies collection is kind of like our diamond that has a lot of resources. We have an online digital course around Georgia Studies. Every 8th grader in Georgia has to take Georgia Studies, so this online course gets utilized very heavily. It's 33 sections of content covering all aspects of Georgia's history and geography. And then we have a Georgia Stories series of 150 plus videos covering any topic you can think of related to Georgia's history, and we're actually in the process of refreshing that entire series to bring it up to date with some of the more current Georgia stories. And then I have to note, we also offer full courses for economics, which we worked closely with Georgia Council on Economic Education to develop a full economics course for middle and high school. And then our science courses, we have physics, chemistry, environmental science, and then in the works right now is a biology series. And these science courses came really from listening to school districts, and we hear that science positions in schools are sometimes challenging to fill. And with our courses, we've heard from teachers as we've been out and about training on all these different things. Your courses, this physics course saved me. I was a chemistry teacher and I was pulled to teach physics for the first time, and this course really saved me and helped me teach this course that I was kind of unfamiliar with. And then we know that students are coming to these courses, maybe if they had trouble with a concept in class and they're finding these resources to help reinforce some of the things that they're learning in class. So we've just seen a lot of popularity with these science courses in helping support instruction where there may be gaps in instruction or the need for a highly qualified science teacher, that this can help fill in some of that. And then, just in listening to what are the instructional needs in the state, what are the priorities with education, working with our Georgia DOE. We know that STEM resources are in high demand. We know that literacy resources are in high demand. And then also workforce development and career, getting kids aware of what careers are out in Georgia. We work closely with a lot of Georgia-based companies, a lot of agricultural industry, like the Forestry Commission, the Peanut Commission, the Cotton Commission. They have a vested interest in wanting kids to understand the job opportunities that are out there for them once they leave high school. We know some kids go to college, some kids go right into the workforce. So we want to work with companies in our state to help educate students on what's out there, what's available to them, and how do they get there? How do they get that skill path where they can get into some of these careers? And then lastly, I just wanted to mention Georgia Classroom. This is our collaborative initiative with Georgia DOE. This started in response to the pandemic. And it really was, at that time, kind of a triage initiative to help support at-home learning. But it has grown and evolved since the pandemic to be something much greater than we even imagined it could be. And now we use Georgia Classroom to provide training and support for Georgia's educators, and to also really help think about our teacher shortage and how do we empower educators across the state to feel like going into education is a good thing. And so we've started a podcast called Classroom Conversations, where we invite a Georgia educator on every episode to talk about how they're being innovative in the classroom. And we've created these teaching in action videos to show exemplar teachers modeling effective teaching strategies, so our newer teachers feel supported and like they have the resources they need to not only come into teaching but stay in the profession, is what we really need in the state right now. And this is my favorite slide. This is the numbers slide. I've talked a lot about our content development and how much content we have, and kind of the innovative way that we're approaching educational resources. But I think one of the things that you may not know about GPB is our distribution model is very solid and brings lots of users to our content. And that number, we had 14.7 million clicks on our educational content last school year, which is just staggering. And it continues to grow year over year of people finding our content and using it in classrooms, and not just teachers, but families at home and informal learning environments. And that's always our challenge, as I just said, is getting more people aware of what we do and how to get to it. And we just went through a strategic planning process for our 5-year plan, and our goal in education is to increase that number by 50% by 2030, which is a very aggressive goal, but we're very confident that we'll get there. And part of the way that we're going to get there is through our small but mighty outreach team, who actually goes out into schools week over week. And last school year, we were able to do in-person learning with 7,000 educators and families across the state, which is just phenomenal that we're able to do that. But we want to do even more. If you look at that map up there, that's our heat map for usage. And, there's gaps up there. The yellow are areas that we've got to get to. And so that's our task over the next 5 years. And with your help, helping us get out there and get awareness of like what we have, and that it's absolutely free and open to anybody that wants to use it. That's our challenge over the next 5 years. And I just want to end by just saying that it's just really, truly amazing as a former teacher and coming to GPB. Like, I had no idea what this organization was capable of on the education side, and even in the nation. We are one of many public media stations across the country, but we are one of a handful that are doing anywhere close to this on the education side. And we're constantly being asked by other public media stations, how are you doing this? How are you getting this much usage on your education content? And so it makes me really proud that Georgia has something like this, that's such a treasure nationally, that we're able to do and support educators and families like this.
Mr. Chair,
We have one.
I have a question. Yeah, it was.
You're right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I love this heat map. A couple of questions. During the pandemic, everyone was at home. Did you see an uptick, or would this heat map look very similar? And post-pandemic, where everyone's back in the classroom, but a lot of people, if you did see an uptick, and a lot of people might have, now they know these resources are there, has the amount of clicks remained steady? Or is it still going up? or has it waned now that people are going back into the classroom setting? And then the second question I have, really quickly, I recognize the yellow areas are areas where you're not getting as much engagement from Georgians. My question is, if you were to do an overlap heat map of access to broadband, is it not an issue of you having things available and more of an issue of barriers to access just to the internet in general?
Love these questions. Well, I just have to point out, one in the bottom corner is the Okefenokee Wildlife Reserve. So there's not a lot of devices out there. So there's some spots like that in the state where we have like forest land and things. But yes, I think that is an issue that is, I think, is getting better with the broadband. I know in Cordele it has been an issue for a while, but we're finally, my parents are so excited, we're finally getting some broadband access down there. But to your first point, during the pandemic, it was very interesting, and we saw a huge spike from May 2020, through March 2020 through the following March 2020. And we saw that come down a little bit because during the pandemic, everybody was at home one-to-one with a device, right? Well, when everybody starts going back to the classroom, we may have 30 students in a room like this where that's one device. So, we saw the number of clicks go down, but we saw it stay higher than it was before the pandemic. So that tells us, and I wish I had that diagram where you can see year-over-year growth, but it went up, but it came down, but it didn't come down. It still was higher than pre-pandemic. So people found us during the pandemic and then stayed with us after the pandemic, which that was a very positive thing that we all noted with the analytics. But we didn't have as many devices in play after the pandemic.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm Taylor. I'm GPB's Vice President of Technology. I'm the junior on the team. I've only been here since 2020. Prior to this, I was the Chief Engineer at WXTX and WTVM in Columbus. From Bert, you heard about our TV and radio offerings across the state that are free to everybody with an antenna. In many cases, all you need is really just a paperclip. And from Laura, you heard a bit about our education products that touch every classroom in the state. Our team in technology makes all that infrastructure possible. We maintain it, we build it, we operate it. In total, we have 9 TV stations, 4 translators, 1 over in Carrollton and 3 up in the mountains, and then 21, as of last week, radio stations. These stations operate on, there's the slide. These stations operate on 27 tall towers across the state. Now, just for a sense of scale, many of us have seen cell phone towers in our neighborhoods or near your favorite gas station. Those are only 100 or 200 feet tall. Our towers, many of them are nearly 2,000 feet tall. Now, the benefit of that height is that we can reach, in some cases, nearly a quarter of the state from one tower. And they're accompanied with standby generators, thanks to bonds from the last few years. Big fuel tanks to keep them running for days or weeks at a time, extra fiber and cellular connectivity so they're always connected to the internet, and in some cases even wells so that when potable water isn't available from municipal services, we still have water at these sites. Well, we use all this infrastructure in addition to our over-the-air TV and radio broadcasts to distribute emergency alert system messages. And just for a little bit of background, as we're kind of in the weeds of broadcast nerddom over here, EAS is the national program that allows authorized bodies to distribute important information to the public in a timely fashion. And this is everything from local agencies to state authorities like GMA, all the way up to the federal government. In this state, we are one of the pillars, GPB's network is one of the pillars that distributes EAS. All other broadcasters in the state rely on our ability to distribute these messages in a timely and orderly fashion. And EAS works by overriding all other broadcasts. So even if a storm has knocked out cellular connectivity or disrupted the internet, or if a user has slid off the alerts on their phone, you still get messages from the EES system. We also partner with over 20 public safety organizations and agencies across the state. At the local level, this is everybody from the Bryan County PD down in the southeast corner of the state, all the way up to the state level. This is folks like the Civil Air Patrol or the Forestry Commission or even the Drug Enforcement Agency at the federal level. Those partners rely on our infrastructure and our team's expertise to support them when all other infrastructure fails. At the state level, our largest partners are the Georgia Emergency Management Agency, GEMA, and the National Weather Service. Those folks value our partnership because they're able to pick up a phone any time of the day or night and speak to somebody on the other end of the line who's able to assist them from a friendly sister agency. With the National Weather Service in particular, we're one of the few teams in the country that is trained and certified to work on NOAA's weather radio transmitters that get weather alerts out all across the state. Just a little bit of an anecdote. In the days after Hurricane Helene carved a path from Valdosta up through Augusta, a quarter of our state was without power and cell phone service for several days. Many commercial TV and radio stations in that area on the eastern side of the state went off the air. And our partners and our audiences were able to depend on our broadcast and our engineers to keep working and for our engineers to stay out all night, many cases without water and power at their own homes, making sure that our broadcasts and our systems were available to them. So our infrastructure, our stations, our broadcasts, and our teams and our partnerships all make GPB and all make Georgians safer every day. Any questions?
You have no questions. We do appreciate that. I know Helene was, well, Michael too, in years past, it was tough down there, and we appreciate the work you do and the planning that goes into it. Next up.
We're almost through. Almost through. I'll be quick. It's a lot. It's a lot going on over on 14th Street. So, thank you, everybody, members of the committee. My name is Adam Woodliff. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Georgia Public Broadcasting. I've been in Georgia for 7 years, but I have a little over 25 years experience in broadcast and media. So, thank you again. And I have to say, you hear all this, but it is a privilege to be able to come to work and do this every day for the people of Georgia. This slide, one of the main things that I have a part of is the content. And so what I want to talk about a little bit today is the local content that we produce either ourselves or with partners. These programs, hopefully you're familiar with all of them, at least lawmakers, I hope. These shows are all produced by GPB or local producers from Georgia. So they all have a Georgia viewpoint and, you know, a Georgia voice when we make these. Lawmakers in particular, it's the 55th season of Lawmakers this year, and it is the longest running TV show in the state of Georgia. And it is also one of the marquee public affairs programs across the nation. So we are very fortunate to have that in our list. And we know that that tells the story of what happens down here under the Gold Dome, and it allows people to have insight into things that they have it nowhere else but through what we're able to do at GPB. Another show that you may be very familiar with, hopefully, is our sports. You see up there, Football Fridays. We do partner with the Georgia High School Association and do the championships for football, basketball, and cheerleading. That program, those programs in particular, are the highest rated locally produced, like non-PBS television content that airs in the country over a PBS affiliated station. So it is a very popular program, and it allows us to connect with parts of our community that we may not otherwise. We are able to connect all across generations with the high school sports. So it's a very big part of what we do. We do partner with a lot of folks. As you see, Fork in the Road, that's a partnership we have with the Department of Agriculture. It's a great show that is a television show, a podcast, a radio show, and it highlights farming and other agricultural industries throughout the state. And then we also have Georgia Outdoors, you may all be familiar with Sharon, and Viewfinders, which are shows that showcase the natural wonders and beauty of our state. And we're also very fortunate with those because they're syndicated nationally. So we're able to share those shows with other broadcasters across the country so that they can see some of the wonderful things we have here in Georgia as well. And then to wrap it up, Peach Jam, which is that's one of our newest shows. That's a podcast and television show that highlights the musical heritage of our state and focuses on Georgia artists of all musical genres. So this combined with the stuff we do with films and other independent producers across the state, we produce about 585 hours of television. So that's enough that if you got in the car and drove around the world at 60 miles an hour, you'd never have to stop watching GPB produced content. So keep that in mind the next time you're on a road trip. But we're very proud of this because it does allow us to showcase the other things that we do. And as you've learned today, we do so much, and this is just one part of it that allows us to connect with the community. And what's important about this is we're always looking for ways to tell Georgia's stories. And this is all provided through we leverage other funds. The other graph at the beginning of the showcase, that's what makes this happen. And so we're able to do that and also introduce people into the other wonderful items we have through these platforms. So,
thank you. Help me out here.
yes, sir.
I must have misheard you. You said how many hours you produce?
585.
585, but you said if I drove around the
Well,
world.
if you drive at 60 miles an hour, 35,000 miles, the math should be about 585 hours.
Okay.
Or 24.4 days.
24.4 days. All right, I'm going to have to do that math in my head.
Half the legislature.
Because I was trying to do that.
I use GPB
But
education.
Chairman Dickey's going to straighten me out down there because he's got it figured out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say thank you for those great local produced shows, Fork in the Road, Georgia Travel, or whatever. I think Dickey Farms has been on one or two of them before, and the Peach Jam name is dead on too. Great.
We're very proud of that. We're very proud of that.
But no kidding, those are great shows. I love them, and we get a lot of feedback, positive, all over our state, our rural areas and ag and all our beautiful parks and things y'all highlight. It's well done.
Well, we appreciate that. I don't have the honor of being from Georgia, but by working here and being part of these shows and the things that we do, I feel like I know more about Georgia than the average person that moves here from somewhere else. It's a great resource.
We'll have you back next year and
Yes,
let you know if you're still on probation.
All right,
sir.
thank you now. I appreciate
You can be a full-fledged Georgian. I want to ask you, Bert, if you can help us wind up. We do need to go here in like 1 minute. Did we hear from everybody?
We had one more.
One more. Okay, I'm sorry. Then we have more than 1 minute. We'll stretch it out. I just
I'll be fast.
Take your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Emily Hackshaw. I'm the Vice President for Development and Engagement at GPB. I've been at GPB for about 9 years, and we are committed to connecting all of Georgia. As you've heard, through all of the education work, the emergency services, the local programming, we are really about connecting communities to amplify the impact of all of this other work that we do. So similar in the way that we're keeping people connected through a network of cables and fiber and broadcast towers, we're also connecting people through community partnerships. So as Laura mentioned, we have established partnerships with every public school system in the state, and we are working with educators and families and caregivers in that way, but we're also working with community partners, and we have established community partnerships in 21% of Georgia's counties, and over the next 5 years, we're going to grow that to 75%. So these are municipalities or nonprofit organizations, community groups with whom we work around events and initiatives that are connected to the public media content that we're putting out that help them tell the story of the work that they are doing. We have partnerships with 24 statewide Georgia government and non-governmental organizations. You can see some examples here. Laura referenced our partnership with the Georgia Department of Education. We've also worked quite closely with organizations such as the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. This is an interesting one to highlight because it crosses several areas that we've discussed. We worked with the agency to produce a documentary film that aired on GPB and other public media stations highlighting the opioid crisis in Georgia, and then paired with that some engagement in communities around the state to help educate people and connect them with resources. We've also worked closely with NAMI Georgia to highlight mental health resources that are available and the great work that they and other organizations are doing along with Georgia Humanities and other organizations. Over the past year, we've hosted more than 50 free community events and initiatives around the state, and these range from film screenings and discussions, storytelling workshops, but perhaps our largest and one of the most beloved events that we offer every year is our Be My Neighbor Day event. This is conducted through a partnership with PNC Grow Up Great and the Fred Rogers Company. Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood is the most popular PBS Kids show on TV, and it's based on the legacy of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And so every year for the past 7 years, we have worked with the Fred Rogers Company to put together a Be My Neighbor Day event. And so last year we had about 1,200 folks come, and these are families with young children, preschool children, and you can see from the pictures they are very excited to meet Daniel Tiger because he is a rock star. But when they're there, we also have community partners there to connect them to resources and information. So anything from the Atlanta Community Food Bank, so people are able to learn about how they can resource assistance getting food, how maybe they can contribute to their community by volunteering at the food bank. We've rental assistance through the Department of Community Affairs, giving away books through the public library system, mental health and wellness resources with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. So it's really a resource fair that it's free and open to the community. And these are some of the ways that we are connecting our communities as we work to unite and uplift Georgia.
Thank you very much. I think Daniel the Tiger?
Yeah.
He should have a day at the Capitol.
Yes, he should.
Bring him over here.
Yes.
I know he would be very popular for at the end of the picture day. I'm positive.
We would love to do that.
Number 27. Did you have another question? Representative Gamble wants to see Daniel the Tiger.
Well, actually, I was going to ask just in general. This is just a general question. Do y'all still close out at midnight with Georgia on My Mind? No. When did we quit doing that?
When did we quit doing that?
I used to love that. Back when I could stay up till midnight, I would watch.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like in the early 90s probably that we stopped. Now we're 24/7, 365 days a year. So.
You know, there's a radio station that plays the Star Spangled Banner every day at noon.
Really?
In Georgia. I'm hearing that Representative Gamble thinks that at midnight one should play the Georgia on My Mind.
Well, let's do it.
At one of the breaks. No, I thank you for doing this, and then we have run over a bit from what I had let folks know, but I do want to thank you for what you do, and I'll give you a minute to close. I noticed one of the partnerships you had up there, and one of the things you talked about, Friday Night Football.
Yep.
Just recently, the Speaker reconstituted the Georgia High School Overview Committee with 5 members of the House. There's 5 members in the Senate. We'll be meeting in the next couple of weeks. And I think we would probably invite whomever from GPB in to talk about that.
Yep.
I'll just pause and say I think there's more content available there if there's opportunity to put the equipment on the ground. I think you would probably find there's some pretty talented young people that are in visual arts out in high schools that could probably help with that. And again, I know it's got to be professionally done and so forth, but I'm sure our friends, if I'm not sure about this, I'm sure they're going to be more warm to it than they think they are about so much owning the content of those high school athletes, to the point that if you're trying to work with getting more things out, working with that, and certainly we can make that affordable. I don't know what you have to pay Georgia High School to broadcast that may or may not come up at the meeting, but just to get that more of that out, I think would be a potential for you to expand on those hours. That I'll do better calculating next time. We had a question, Representative Bernal, and then we'll let the gentleman close. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Are you all affected at all by the federal budget cuts?
We are not currently, no. In the continuing budget that was just passed last Friday, there was full funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting included in that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll leave it to you to close us out.
listen, it's a lot, right? And we're just so appreciative that you gave us so much time to talk to you about everything that GPB does. I grew up in Georgia too, in the Northeast Georgia mountains, and I grew up listening to that. Very rarely would I stay up to midnight to see that too, but I'm so proud to be able to serve Georgia in this capacity because we love what we do every day, and we just want to make this a better place to be and bring people together in all these various ways. So we thank you for your support. That's the most important thing. I always say you are our biggest major gift donor, and we appreciate you so much for everything you do for us. So thank you.
Well, I thank you for doing that, and I appreciate you for pointing at us and saying we are, but it's actually the people of Georgia that send that money. We just, through the budget process, redirect it to you. So it's the people of Georgia that fund Georgia Public Broadcasting, either through the state or through their donations. So we appreciate the work you do. With that, thank you very much. Committee, that concludes our work for today. Keep an eye out. We'll probably meet next week. We have some measures that House members introduced that weren't ready right for this year, but we want to hear from them. We'll probably hear from them next week, and some measures that were introduced late. So keep an eye out. We'll have some hearings that we will look into some more legislation later this year, and it'll be next year. If there's no further action for the committee, we'll stand adjourned without objection. I see none. We are adjourned.